And now it is our pleasure to learn from Rabbi Zachary Goodman, who will be joining us from his home tonight.
Begin by stating an obvious truth. This is a little strange, to be addressing the congregation on Erev Rosh Hashanah from my dining room table. Perhaps you too are sitting at your dining room table, or on the couch in your living room. Maybe you're praying with your bubble, and perhaps for the first time you are experiencing the High Holy Day services by yourself. Whatever your circumstance, wherever you are tuning in from, know that you are not alone, that this is strange for all of us, and that we will not allow our necessity to be physically separated hinder our ability to be spiritually connected. It is with great pride and confidence that I can say these High Holy Days will be meaningful and memorable in a very different way than in previous years. We will always remember, forever, the year when the novel coronavirus kept us from our collective sacred space. So, what about this time should we remember? Let us remember not the isolation, but the innovation. Let us remember not the separation, but the connections that we were able to create. This is not what we want for ourselves or for our children. As my wife would say, the struggle is real. Yes, this is a little strange, but let us not dwell on the oddity. Rather, let us dive into the awesome power of this day as we begin our spiritual journey through the Yamim Noraim, these days of awe. This is the day of judgment. We enter it with intention and with full heart. My heart is full as we enter 5781, not only because I have witnessed the incredible strength and resilience of our community in these challenging recent months, but also on a very personal level. My heart is full in a way that can only be brought on by the birth of a newborn child. On this Erev Rosh Hashanah, I would like to share with the congregation a letter I wrote for my little boy, Abraham. Dear son, my sweet boy, little Abe, I thought of you today. In fact, I have thought of you almost every day since I sat down to start writing this letter about 6 years ago. I was preparing a High Holiday sermon while I was still in rabbinical school, and I realized I could not possibly begin to understand the full complexity of the Akedah before I experienced the joy and terror of becoming a parent. For in this Torah portion, we find the binding of Isaac on Mount Moriah, a father and son ascending a mountain in an ultimate test of faith. Abraham's task is a dark one. Murder your own child and prove yourself faithful to God. Do not be afraid, my son, and do not be too quick to judge our Torah. Even the terrible can be forgiven. You were born in the month of Elul. May you be quick to forgive, and may you have a long memory. For generations, we have been teaching our descendants that what our father Abraham did on that mountain will never again be asked of any father, mother, or son. Some things change, and some never do. Even with all of the changes the world has encountered just in the short time that you lived in your mother's womb, we know that we can rely on our Jewish traditions to be for us a constant. The location of the services may change, though each Shabbat remains a palace in time. The platforms through which we engage may shift, but the Torah remains eternal. Torah does not change, but we do. And so we yield new lessons each and every year from our timeless text. So as your dad, I wanted to introduce myself and say thank you. I want to let you know that your existence brings greater meaning and depth to my Torah. Perhaps you are wondering, my son, why do we celebrate the Jewish New Year with the story of the biblical Abraham, who so readily and disturbingly brought his own son to a sacrificial altar? What a deeply upsetting way to enter another cycle of the calendar. Son, sometimes the narratives that we read in the Torah make us question even the most authoritative powers in the world. We encourage questions. Is this the way we want to attain our faithfulness? Is this the God we want to put our trust in? I hope on the day that you read this letter, we can have a discussion about this act of conviction. You will ask, is it moral to kill someone if God has commanded you? And we can speak about life and death, belief and violence, grace, ethics, and morality. You might ask, is the Torah even about morality? Or is it bigger than that? And I will smile. Another lesson from our tradition, my son. Musar teaches us that we should look for the good in every person. That we should look to shake the hand of the one who raises their hand to strike us. Can you imagine Isaac giving his father a hug with the would-be murder weapon still in hand? I don't know about you, but that just seems too challenging for me. Perhaps there is a middle path. Maimonides claims that the way of the Chacham, the wise, is by seeking the median of two extremes. Perhaps you will have the heart of wisdom to find a route that lays between shaking the hands of oppressors and violent retaliation, between shaking the Pharaoh's hand and killing all of the firstborn sons in Egypt, between accepting your father's mistakes and cutting him out of your life. I want you to know now that you will always be surrounded with love, chesed, and warmth. You will learn that not every day is necessarily joyful, but you will always know love. I'm so excited for what lies ahead of you. The world is your platform. Whether you want to be a businessman or a fireman, an artist, scholar, or anything in between, you will always have the support of your mom and dad. You better believe that we would follow you to the end of this world to see what drives you and to witness the man that you will become. I know that my being a rabbi will sometimes make it hard for us to spend as much time together as I would like. It already weighs heavily on me that I won't be able to attend all of your hockey games, or a condolence call will prohibit me from tucking you in and kissing your forehead. I hope that someday you will understand that my responsibility to the community does not mean that I love anyone or anything more than I could possibly love you. I promise that I will sing a song for you every night that I can. For music, my son, it is the language of our souls. Not every song is holy, but given the proper kavanah, music can light up the world. The Kabbalists believe that music is intimately connected to prayer, as the Hebrew words shirah and tefillah have the same numerical value. Between my love of music and your mother's love of history, we hope that you will encounter the divinity of every song and story. Even when you think you are too old for bedtime guitar songs, I will sing to you. Because no matter how mature you are, you will always be our little boy. I want to take you to Israel. I want to show you that just like other cultures are unique, that we Jews are also diverse, that there is no one way or right way to be Jewish. We can eat shakshuka together at Timol Shom Shom Cafe in Jerusalem and walk down the shores of the beaches in Tel Aviv. You will climb Masada and explore the ancient caves of Qumran, place stones on graves at Mount Herzl, and face our history in the halls of Yad Vashem. You will grow up in a family of Ochavei Yisrael, lovers of Israel. A family of Jews who believe in religious pluralism. You will become a member of the Israelite tribe. And that being said, I must confess, taking you to Israel does make me nervous. When I lived in Jerusalem, dozens of terrorists attacked brutally citizens in the streets of Jerusalem. Rocket fire killed young soldiers on the Lebanese border. A gunman fired an automatic weapon at civilians at a Tel Aviv pub. Young boys were kidnapped and killed, and a war broke out in Gaza. I am so sorry, son. I'm sorry that you are inheriting a world that is filled with so much hate. For years, your people have prayed for peace. Unfortunately, our prayers alone do not act as agents of change. Life is about balance. Your brothers and sisters in Israel know this well. You don't have to agree with every Israeli policy to love your Jewish homeland. Trust your American father on this one. Governments and politicians change. You might not always be proud of the direction your country is taking. But the pain you feel when things seem broken stems from a deep love and loyalty. Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel, our people, are very much alive. And yet, our world is broken. At every Jewish wedding, so many of which have been postponed or reimagined during this pandemic, we conclude our rituals with a shattering of a glass. It comes as a reminder that even in our times of joy, the world still knows pain. It is our task, as Jews and as human beings, to work towards alleviating the suffering of others. I am so sorry, son. I'm sorry that you were born into a people who have served as this world's scapegoat. I so badly wanted you to inherit a world void of hatred. It seems, my boy, that you too must use your voice to speak out against anti-Semitism and racial injustice. People may call you names. People may blame you for their problems. People may try and disgrace you because you wear a Jewish star around your neck and light candles on Friday nights. This is a disgusting reality which we must face. I know I ask too much of you, but I want you to be strong. I need you to stay strong. You be strong for me, and I will be strong for you. Never take off your kippah for fear of what people might think or say. Never take off that golden Magen David that I bought for you in Jerusalem because your so-called friends said something ignorant. Never be ashamed of who you are, where you come from, nor the tenets of your faith. Perhaps you will have the strength to overlook hatred and find the good in every person. Be strong, my son, and use your voice. For your Jewish people now and in every generation, and for your neighbor who experiences racial discrimination, use your voice. For any person who faces bigotry because of who and how they love, and for the indigenous people whose lands have been violated, use your voice. For the widow, the orphan, and the stranger, use your voice to effect systemic change. For no matter how open-minded, socially conscious, anti-racist your mother and I think that we are, we still have old, learned, and hidden biases that we need to confront. You, little Abe, will help us to do that work. I ask of you, always remind us that it is our responsibility to examine ourselves daily for stereotypes, prejudices, and ultimately, acts of discrimination. Help us to better see our world and ourselves. May you always be humble. May you learn when to speak up and when to listen. And above all else, above any earthly power or authority, you shall know before whom you truly stand. There is a teaching of a wise rabbi named Simcha Bunam, who always carried 2 stones in his pockets. On one it read, Bishvili nivra ha'olam, for my sake the world was created. And on the other, Anochi afar ve'efer, I am but dust and ashes. Neither absolute is right, and neither is wrong. Your task as a citizen of the world and a member of the Jewish people is to find the balance in these. For you alone was the world created. Yes, Abraham, the world is yours to encounter. Yet you are nothing but dust and ashes. Do not even for a second believe that you are superior over your fellow human beings. No matter who you will become, son, know that I will always love you with all of my heart. Welcome to this strange world of ours. L'shana tova, l'chaim tova. Love, Dad. And so, my Holy Blossom community, from my family to yours, we wish you a sweet and good New Year. Good Yontif.